All right, welcome. We're going to look at Russia today.
Talking about the location, climate, and natural resources.
Hey, what's this stuff down here?
Looks like caviar.
What is that?
Oh, those would be fish eggs.
Okay.
Never had it, though.
Never had
You?
it? No. It does not look good to me. Now, Russia is a big, at least they have a lot of oil there. They just can't always get to it. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. And notice these little funny looking buildings. They have a completely different sense of style in Russia than regular Europe.
And I see that hammer and sickle in that bottom left-hand corner, which is the symbol of what again?
The Communist Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
Now let's talk about location and trade.
All right, so we're going to talk about location and trade. La ubicación y trade. I lost my Spanish word for trade, but como los países intercambian con uno a otro.
El trade.
No, I got it.
Now, St. Petersburg is their number one trading center, and that's right here up in the northwestern part of Russia, St. Petersburg. All right, and I guess you can't guess who built that city.
Would that be somebody named Peter?
Peter the Great.
That's what I was thinking.
And now notice that Russia, again, it belongs to the Slavic language family, even though it's partly over here in Europe, the Slavic side, but half of it is over here in Asia. All right. But not a lot of people live over here. We'll talk about that.
And you know what they call the Asian part of Russia is Siberia.
All right. And I mean, look at its location. Now, what do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of the Russian location?
¿Cuáles son las ventajas y desventajas de la ubicación de Rusia? Well, I see. Seems to be near a major body of water.
Interesting. Okay. But that body of water is the Arctic Ocean. Not great for trading. And in fact, if you think about Santa Claus and the North Pole, you think about ice.
So normally being next to water would be great, but for much of the year it's frozen over, right? So I guess that's why the Arctic Ocean isn't really a bonus to be located near it. Although for part of the year, the ports are open, and that does allow them to trade for part of the year.
Hey, I know this is a lot, but I need you to copy everything on this page. That's why it's underlined. All right. So Russia is unfavorably located due to has no major sea lanes, makes trade difficult. It's largely landlocked, particularly the European side, and much of the soil over here on the Asian side is frozen.
And what does landlocked mean again?
It's just surrounded by land. So instead of a sea lane, you got land. That's frozen ocean. I mean, but you get the idea.
Okay. And you know, I taught my students that frozen soil is actually called permafrost, and that is what gets in the way of them being able to farm because the land is frozen over for so much of the year, especially in that Asian part of Russia.
Interesting topic. And that's something actually we could talk about, the permafrost. All right.
So it looks like Russia has a ton of natural resources. So I wonder, what's the problem? They seem to have a whole bunch of stuff, but
they got plenty of stuff. All right. I mean, if you notice here, they have a whole shebang of stuff here, particularly petroleum and coal. You'll find it all over. All right. But like she said,
if you look in the center there of this slide, saying that climate makes it difficult to get to all of those resources, right? So that is the challenge. And it's very mountainous. What mountains are there?
The Ural Mountains.
Yeah.
All right. And because of all of that, they have to trade primarily by train. And like Mr. Miller was saying the other day here, if you got to trade by train, you can't really get a whole lot of stuff on there nearly as much as you could if you could put it on a big, gigantic cargo ship.
And I'd imagine trains are kind of slow. I guess ship is also slow, but let's think too, if the trains have to go through like heavy snow and iced over, they probably have to take some time clearing out some places for them to pass.
All right, now that permafrost you were talking about, here we are. All right. Can you explain that? Because I'm not really familiar with what that means.
Permafrost is just frozen soil that you cannot plant. If you try to dig down there, if you try to plant any seeds, you're just going to hit frozen soil. So it says here more than 90% of the time there is permafrost in that area in Russia. Wow. But toward the European side, it looks like there's just seasonal permafrost, so it's not so bad.
Which is why most people stay on this side of Russia rather than this side of Russia. All right, it says 73% of the population lives on the European side. All right.
It's also a bit warmer there, right, than on the eastern side. Siberia, the Asian part of Russia, is known to be very, very cold.
Super cold.
Es mucho más frío en el este, en el lado este de Asia, que en el lado oeste, más cerca de Europa.
And this is what permafrost would look like.
Wow. Just to imagine living there, that would just be really hard to get anything to grow.
That would suck. All right, where people live. All right, and again, if you look at this map, even though they had raw materials, natural resources everywhere, most people live over here just simply because it has a better climate.
So west of the Ural Mountains.
Hey, exactly, west of the Ural Mountains, which should be about right up in here somewhere.
And the most fertile land is also on the western side, because what other physical feature is over there?
The European plain.
That's right. Hopefully you all remembered that.
Now, that was a trait. Don't worry about it. Now, where people live, if you look at this map here, all right, would you want to live here in this nice, beautiful city, Moscow? Looks nice and modern.
And I also see it looks like some water there. So people typically like to be near some water too.
Or would you prefer this wonderful, cool little place?
Yakutsk. I have never heard of Yakutsk, but it looks a little rough over there.
This is the coldest city in Russia.
Wow. Yeah, I know where I'd be going. Looks like Moscow being near water, it's going to also help that city with trade. It's a lot more mild climate. I think it's going to be closer on that western side, being closer to Europe, probably has some better land for farming somewhere near there.
Those are all good reasons right there for why I would rather live here than here. All right, here we go. So if you would, I got 3 little questions for you. Answer them on a separate sheet of paper and turn that in tomorrow. Boom.